We all understand the type of climate that we're dealing with. We're dealing with multiple offer situations.
I'd love to know sort of what's your why? What makes you tick? Why are you so successful?
Have a dialogue with your lawyer. Have a dialogue with your agent.
Both sort of passionate about sort of what we do.
Again, vet your agent to make sure that they're experienced and they're local. I like that idea.
No excuse to miss it on Saturdays from 8 to 9.
That's right.
WBZ.
And now, the show that gives you the latest and most relevant housing market news. Real Estate Radio Boston with financial expert Rick Shearer and legal professional Ali Alavi.
Why would anyone want to hire an agent, especially in this type of climate, in this type of market?
It's a great question. So, just like you're an attorney and you're a mortgage broker and you're schooled in your industries, real estate agents understand the intricacies about buying and selling homes. And there's a value in that service, first of all. But because there are so many real estate agents, it becomes important to figure out who's the best one for you. Right. And some of the things that you really need to ask as a seller or a buyer, especially as a seller, is what kind of marketer are you? Because really that is the biggest part of their job, is to figure out how to present your property in a competitive market that outmarkets all of the competition, all of your neighbors' houses that are on the market. And what are they going to use? What mediums are they going to use to be able to get eyeballs on it? The other thing you want to ask them is, how are they networked into the communities? Because relationships are so important when buying and selling houses. Buyers come from conversations. You find out people want to move. You say, I have a house for them. So not only do they need to have a solid marketing plan, but they really need to be involved in their communities, and they need to be networkers, and they need to be kind of well-rounded so that they can bring the buyers if they're going to list your house.
For someone that's spending the money, because it's not free to advertise in your magazine, to spend the money to showcase other people's homes in order to put more eyeballs on them, that makes a difference.
Well, I think so, but you also want to ask them things like, what are you doing on social media to promote my listing? A lot of our clients in the PR company, I have a lot of clients in the magazine that are also PR clients. And
sure.
So we manage all of their social media, and we take their listings and we figure out who is most likely to buy this house. And we run ads on social media that target that exact demographic. They get hundreds of people looking at these houses.
But let's put it in perspective. The Distinctives Homes magazine actually has a very large circulation. I mean, you have the digital edition and you have the actual physical copy of the magazine as well. And this goes out to thousands of individuals. 65,000 agents, is that correct?
Yeah, well, we email a digital copy to 65,000 agents, but we also have a list of high net worth individuals. We print 40,000 copies every single month.
Wow.
And we distribute it on social media. Again, I pay to promote it on sites like Facebook because I get tens of thousands of people that read my magazine, and I don't have to print more copies.
What brought you here, and what motivated you to come here and then sort of transition into the real estate?
And how are you killing it in real estate?
So I started selling real estate in Maine right out of high school in 2003, and really enjoyed it. Had a great time doing it in Maine, and then found myself in Boston a couple years later and back in real estate here.
Super luxury units in the city of Boston. Mm-hmm. How did you fall into that market, if I can ask?
I don't think anybody falls into it.
Exactly.
Good. And with anything that you do, you've got to work for it.
Sure.
And that comes from, grit, sweat, getting out there and doing it and performing and being dedicated and loyal to your clients and just working hard.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense.
Talk to us a little bit about some recent sales that you have, just to give us a taste of sort of who you've been servicing.
Yeah, so I've had a couple of good sales at the Mandarin this year. One was a 2+ bedroom on the 9th floor. We put it on for $4,995 and ended up selling it for $505,000 over the ask.
$505,000 over ask.
Yeah, sold for $5.5 million. Pretty special home, front facing at the Mandarin, which is a pretty hot building right now. One of the premier luxury buildings, and also in the Mandarin on the 12th floor, I sold a home that was $12.5 million.
$12.5 million,
and that's the largest. I think the most expensive unit in the city of Boston sold to date.
Closed year to date, yeah.
Yeah.
And how many bedrooms was that? Give us a little flavor of the.
It was a 2-bedroom actually, 2-bedroom with a study, front facing, 2 balconies. But what's really interesting about that home is it's the most expensive price per foot ever sold in the city at $3,880 a foot.
That's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah.
We've been harping on this entire concept of effective marketing, and that effective marketing doesn't come from the real estate agent shooting photographs off their iPhone. Yeah. It really is to be able to assemble a really effective team that's going to be able to showcase these properties. And quite frankly, it doesn't have to be a $12 million property. It can be a $500,000 property. And I think the same strategy should be deployed in both scenarios. Maybe not an architectural photographer.
I would know. I think you would.
You think?
Because I think ultimately, if you want to get the highest price, you have to provide the best product. And if you don't have the best photos, in a market where buyers find everything online,
Right.
they'll gloss over it if you don't have great pictures. So it's worth putting the money into.
And our attention spans are like, you need to catch them
Yeah.
right off the bat.
Yeah.
First picture, maybe
That's it.
second picture. After that, you either get them or you lose them.
Give us a quick background on Baker Law Group, locations, etc., just so people get a better flavor of your practice.
So we're a general estate planning practice outfit. We help elders and seniors plan for long-term care, which we're going to go into a little bit more detail later. We help high net worth individuals plan their estates, planning for taxes. We do a lot with asset protection, not only for our clients, but the people they're leaving assets to. And then for newer families and people just wanting to put a basic plan in place, we help them out as well.
If I'm sitting in front of you and I'm like, I just don't know who should be taking and raising my kids if my wife and I had passed, what are some of the advice that you give people? Because I think as I talk to people about, have you done your estate plan? That's the biggest thing. We don't know who's going to take care of our kids, or we don't know who's going to take care of our estate. How do you help people guide through that?
Some people are very fortunate and they have a long list of people they could leave their kids to. Others, it's a very short list. And sometimes it's only having that one or two people in line to do it. Hopefully, if your children are healthy, it's really a shorter span. If typically you have two parents, both of you would have to pass away before the need would arise for someone to come in and be guardian for your child.
Right.
Those single parents, obviously, it's a little more, it's different. And the risk is higher. And, if your list is short, sometimes it's just making sure that the one or two that you have in place are named so that someone unintentionally who may have, might be closer in relation to you, might have more of a claim, if you will, to raise your children, you might want to box them out for whatever reason.
So it's who you don't want to raise your kids.
Sometimes,
starting in that place.
But there are other alternatives than just nursing homes, right? I mean, the classic nursing home that we all have in mind, where you're surrounded by all these sort of debilitated individuals, and it's really not all that conducive of an environment. There are other alternatives, aren't there?
There are, but nursing homes have nurses 24/7 available to administer medications, to do things. Some assisted living facilities, it's only during regular working hours that they may have a nurse on call.
But you can get a nurse to come into the home 24 hours. I mean, it's obviously very costly, but you can be treated and kept at home.
Most people that I meet with don't have the budget and the resources to afford 24/7 care that is offered in a nursing home. So you can say bring in all the care that you want, but if you can't pay the bill at the end of the day, and then you're telling your
It's
kids,
not realistic.
Don't put me in a nursing home. You're putting them in a very difficult situation. I think we were talking about this earlier, but there's two things that most commonly come up when I have clients come in. They either say, I don't want to be a burden, or I'm not going to a nursing home. And if they say both of those things, the same person,
Seems like an oxymoron.
it kind of does. And most people that I'm meeting with, their children want to do everything they can to keep their parents out for as long as they can. But if you tell them don't put me in a nursing home and they have to, it's
heartbreaking.
They're going to have to break that promise potentially, and then they have a lot of guilt.